Hey folks, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk to you about a deck, Tarot de l'Incarnation. It's a French deck. Really enjoy working with it, Marseille type. So pip deck. But just let's see where this conversation takes us because there's a lot actually. So let's just get into it. Get yourself a nice drink, get comfortable. Let's talk about it. So here we go. Let's start off with a difficult card, Seven of Wands, fire element. And I have tackled the sevens in the tarot, which is a challenging energy in the progression of the ace all the way till 10 and then the courts, etc. Seven is always such a weird push and pull type of confusing, often archetype energy. If you want to see that, it's in the Tarothon that I did. I will link it. It's alive. So I'm talking about many things, but yeah, I'm tackling the sevens in there. Seven of Wands, Seven of Bâtons. I really love seeing the Seven of Wands because, as you may know, the Waite Smith was, or the Smith-Waite was my first system, was my first deck. Back in the day, I didn't know about any other tarot deck. That was the tarot deck, the tarot cards. That is what I considered to be the tarot. Seven of Wands in there is a man standing on top of a hill fighting off the people who want to do him harm, because the six wands beneath him, you can imagine people are holding them. Yeah, he's not fighting wands that are stuck in the ground, are stuck upright in the ground. They are being held by people who want to knock him off of his higher ground, his maybe pedestal. All of that has meaning. He seems to be very rushed into this position of defense because one of his shoes is a boot and the other is kind of like a lace-up shoe. So you can imagine he was rushed into this position. So he didn't even put on the same shoes on each foot. When I first noticed this and found it in a book, it was a confirmation of its meaning, but I wasn't quite sure that it truly was drawn deliberately. You know, maybe Pamela Coleman Smith made a mistake, just like the oh shit line in The Sun that we all adore. I mean, I think it's kind of quirky and nice. I like seeing that. I mean, I'm a centennial girl, you know how it is. But when I got into studying Thoth, that's when I realized the Seven of Wands, Lord of Valor, it made perfect sense. Because in the Thoth deck, we have the six wands. Those are ceremonial wands. And then the seventh one is just a stick that was found on the ground. That's what I love about Thoth. It makes every system more clear if you want it to. So, of course, yeah, you have to take it. You have to take Crowley's work in a certain way. You know, don't take it too far unless you want to be a Thelemite. But anyway, the seventh wand, which is the new one in this key, it's a stick that was just found on the ground. So you can imagine now that the man, the young man, the person in the Smith-Waite Seven of Wands card is holding a stick that he just found on the ground. So he was, again, rushed in this situation of defense, of protecting what he has, protecting what he holds. And you can see that in the progression of Marseille too. This is why I love Marseille as well, because, I mean, I don't have it ready at hand here, but the card before it, of course, it's just the six wands. And that's all about, to me at least, victory, because when you combine the numerological association that the six has, which is, I don't want to say perfection because that's 8, but the most balanced point in the progression of the suit, and it's the middle point. It's the navel. It's the life force with the passion and the action of the wands. To me, yeah, you can definitely get to victory Lord of Victory with that information. So Golden Dawn system, it didn't come from nothing. They did the math, you might say. And sometimes, of course, with Marseille, or a lot of the times, which is why it's such a magical system to work with in tarot brainland, you can make your own system because you get to different conclusions. You know, Six of Wands doesn't always need to mean victory. It can mean something different to you and still make perfect sense by doing the math, if you know what I mean. So the card before it, Six Wands, yes? This seventh wand is the new thing that is brought into this chapter. I'm trying to say I have a great relationship with the Seven of Wands because I needed to awaken Seven of Wands energy in my life a couple years ago. I think I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm getting better at it. Actually, I know I'm getting better at it. But at the time, it was definitely about not letting others walk all over me in different forms. I saw a pattern and I broke it, and it was definitely up to me to do so. Now I have more confidence and certainty and even self-awareness to let others know how I wish to be treated. Simple as that. Now, you can imagine having gone through that, I have a great relationship to Seven of Wands. It started off with the Smith-Waite imagery. Makes perfect sense. Then Marseille, totally get it. Thoth, even more. I love using those three big systems together. But when I did this reading using this deck, it wasn't the first time, obviously, I realized this, but it's just interesting to share. The shadow side of it. The shadow side of Seven of Wands isn't necessarily doing too much or, speaking too loudly or hurting others. It's actually about this sort of stubborn defensiveness. Because in the positive side of this key, you are on the defense, but you have to protect what you've built for yourself. In the shadow side, it's defensiveness. That isn't a good thing, because then you are closing off. You're closed off to others. You're closed off to other people's opinions and views and stories. And you don't accept anything to change your path. The closed off aspect of it, which you can actually see in the Smith-Waite as well. The wand he's holding, it's definitely saying no. Now, when you're in need of putting up some clear boundaries, etc., that is great advice. But when you're actually hoping, and it's funny that this is a 6, to have some sort of reconciliation, you don't really want to see that 7 of Wands, because it really does mean that you can't go back. It really does mean that you can't get back to that union that is the 6. You've already chosen your own path, and that can be great. But when you're hoping to still have the door open, basically, to communication and unity and reconciliation after a fight or a conflict, this isn't going to bring it. Because this shows a clear, I went that way now, you can't get me back. That's at least what I got from this reading, because between two people who used to be very close and aren't anymore, many, many mistakes have been made from both sides. I don't actually even know. But I was just doing the little, sneak peek into people's situation, which I definitely take with a grain of salt, because tarot, to me, is first and foremost psychological tool. Yes, it's a tool to improve yourself. So you mirror yourself. But since I am kind of put in the middle sometimes, it's nice also to kind of zoom in and zoom out at the same time using your cards and thinking, well, it's not going to hurt anybody to just maybe do a little check-in, you know. I do believe the tarot cards show, when I do a reading for me, it's going to show them me. So I'm going to see myself in the cards. But you know, you can do both, I guess, for yourself. It's not going to hurt anybody. 10 of Cups, great card. End of a cycle. I mean, it feels quite stable. It feels emotionally good and healthy. Cups are full. And it feels stable definitely because it's the end of cycle. I mean, end of a cycle, beginning of a new one. But then also in Marseille, you clearly see the big 10th cup. It's closed, and it's closed with something that looks a lot like a coin. So that's the next suit. So the stability in there. Next card, the Queen of Cups. Just look at this detail. There are tears here. So this is a deck that looks like traditional Marseille, but it's, you know, a lot of things were added. But I like that. You know, my favorite Marseille is Triomphe de la Luna, far from traditional Marseille. It's showing compassion. It's showing she holds her heart there. And it is closed. Her cup is closed, just like the 10 of Cups cup. But it's closed for you protect your heart. And still you truly hope for the best, you know. The next card. I'm not going to share any details, by the way. This is private stuff, but 10 of Wands. A different 10. And now it's Wands. Which, funnily enough, now we have all elements, because in between the two Wands, you can imagine a sword. So that would be the next suit. So 10 of Wands definitely holds a little bit less positivity than 10 of Cups. I would not say that is, you know, the full definition of the card. It definitely holds some great positive aspects as well. But first glance, it's you know, it's dark. It's clear ending. It's kind of closed off. It's kind of saying, well, you tried. My position in all this is a card I've seen a lot. Hanged Man. Wow, yeah, there he is again. And Queen of Cups, actually, I see that too. I feel like the inner realm is where I need to be, and I need to just do this with the outer realm. That's a theme that's going on now. But you see, 7 of Wands was in this reading as well. And my first thought with the other cards that I pulled wasn't about valor or courage. It was, oh, defensiveness. So, not ready to talk about it. And clearly, two people moving in different directions, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I'm over here still hoping for this, you know? You know how it is. But you can't make people do what they don't want to do. And maybe after all, it's their relationship. Think about that. Don't forget that. It's their relationship. They probably know what is best after all, because we were never in that relationship. It's between those people. So they probably know best anyway. So you see how sometimes you're hoping for a 6, you're hoping for the union, and instead you get Chariot energy, which I believe we all see as something very positive, very strong. But don't forget, we have the 2 sphinxes, we have the 2 horses. They are moving in different directions. And maybe also between the 6 and 7 energy, there's this moment of contemplation, of forced figuring out what it is you truly want. Because in the 6, it's all beautiful and it's easy to be happy and your best self when it's beautiful. But when it starts to shift and move and crack, that's when you're going to be presented with a choice. Where do you actually want to go? What do you actually want to do? And when two people choose different paths, maybe that's okay too, because after all, we are talking authenticity. It might just be their authentic self taking that leap, taking that next step, moving forward, moving their life along. So I'm saying 7 energy, very powerful, but it is about the individual. It is. I think actually every card that's an active number, so we got Ace, 3, 5, 7, 9. Every time we are presented with a new wand or cup, or you see what I mean, sword, pentacle, instead of just the vines that are trying to make the new element, we are again mostly talking about relationship with self, and we move out of this situation that we know. We move away from the coming together, and we take that step for ourselves. And this is what the tarot shows, that life, just like the tarot suits, is about progression. And sometimes you progress and evolve together, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just you. And just because you might have loved somebody or you were close to somebody, that's not reason enough to stay with them, stay on their level necessarily. You have to progress for you. People learn in different ways. People evolve in different ways. You can be really evolved and everything and enlightened in one aspect in your life and having completely forgot about a different aspect in your life, whereas the other person might be better at that and not yet there, and that's all okay. We all learn in different paces, different ways. There are so many nuances, and sometimes something that was great at one point, it just cracked open and it broke. That doesn't mean that needs to define the rest of your path. It means that this is a chance, an opportunity to do what you are actually ready to do now. The universe is kind of showing that to you. I'm not the type of person who says everything happens for a reason. I think that is too cruel. I do say, though, there's opportunity in things we sometimes too quickly define as failure. That brings me to my last point. 7 of discs, 7 of coins in Thoth is failure, but let's reconsider the Lord of failure, Lord of valor. I think they pose a question to the reader. How do you understand valor? What does it mean to you? How do you understand failure? What does it mean to you? I think it's better to not just accept failure, but to understand it, meaning you have experienced it, and then you realize that the word has a new definition now, because it's not failure, it's not the end, it's the 7. You still have 8, 9, 10, so much left. Very similar explanation when we get Arcanum 13, death. That's not the end. 13's, somewhere in the middle. We still have all the way to 21, sometimes 22 to go. So it's up to you to find the potential in something that might appear as broken, failure. What do you do with it? This is an opportunity to take your life to the next level. Take a different path. It was your path all along. You just now saw it. I don't really know what this video was, but let me know your thoughts. Thank you for being here. And again, as always, I realize I didn't share a lot about the reading itself, but I think for anybody who kind of knows tarot, understands what I'm talking about, and I think that was the main thing, to contemplate what failure is, what valor is. You see, all of those words that we associate with cards, it can still mean 360-degree change. And there's just so much to think about, to contemplate, to feel. So I will see you next time. Bye.